Let's introduce our other two guests on the discussion. For the other side of the perspective, which is equally important, I have Mr. Pinaki Mishra, Lok Sabha MP and the national spokesperson of the Biju Janata Dal, and Gaurav Vallabh, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Mr. Mishra, let me begin with you first. You heard what the BJP had to say. You have heard what chief ministers have had to say. What has been your own experience with fighting COVID and this whole center-state dispute, if you were, is concerned? Your own experience, your party's experience.
Look, I think the Orissa government has been universally praised because the way Mr. Naveen Patnaik has fashioned this entire fight against COVID, it's been one of the most extraordinary challenges met wonderfully. 4.5 lakh beds today are in preparation for quarantining people who are coming back, the migrant labor which is coming back into Orissa. So, I don't have the fine print of what transpired today between the Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers because that was in camera, of course. Broadly, the broad brush strokes I'm given to understand is my Chief Minister said, look, this was a national lockdown policy that you put in place. You must now have a national reboot policy. The rebooting of the economy must be a national policy. And that must really come from the central government. I believe that's, from what I gathered from some of the channels, that's what he suggested. Again, absolutely finely nuanced. He's said the right thing. It can't be piecemeal. You can't leave it to various individual states to deal with this, according to their own exigencies, because we are so inextricably interlinked in every which way, state upon state upon state, that it's impossible now to leave it to the states to say, please go ahead and do what you want. As far as center state is concerned, we've had the perfect synergy between, the central government and us, in terms of, fashioning the railway trains which have come back to Orissa carrying our migrant labor, in terms of, every other facet where we've asked for central help. They've been there to help us. Where they've asked us to go a particular route, we've gone there without let or hindrance. So therefore, Orissa, there is absolutely, I don't think there is any problem. The broad brushstrokes again of, the financial problems that every state is feeling in terms of, what the center has to pay in terms of SGST,
Correct.
in terms of what the Finance Commission has, dictated should be paid to the states. Now, all that is a part of a different package altogether. But otherwise, you have to understand that the Orissa example is a model utopian example today in India on how to deal with this.
Okay.
The biggest problem today is the migrant labor reinflux back into the state. And there we've done an absolutely extraordinary job.
Okay.
They're back.
See, we have had multiple reports of migrant laborers from Odisha complaining that not enough trains are available and they've not been able to come back. They've been waiting. So, see, there is no perfect solution or the perfect answer to a problem as huge as COVID-19 and the lockdown. So, to that extent, I agree with what is being done. I'm sure everybody is putting their best foot forward. Mr. Mishra, do stay on with us. Professor Gaurav Vallabh is also with us. Professor Vallabh, the Prime Minister has spoken about a number of things. He has spoken about, a new way of life post-COVID-19 lockdown, post-coronavirus fight. He's spoken about more participation between the center and the states. But he's been silent on certain important aspects. Would you be willing to give him more time, or would you hold him guilty at this moment of not speaking on the all-crucial issue of migrant laborers in his closing comments? He did speak about it in the opening comment. And to the financial package. Do you think you should give him time? Maybe a PM's address on the 17th?
Sanket, this is the 5th meeting with the chief ministers. And every time, all chief ministers, I am aware that few of the BJP ruled states chief ministers are asking that give us the financials, give us the money to spend, because ultimately who is fighting against the COVID at the micro level? It is the states, it is the state machinery, and you are not providing the dues of GST to the states. Every state is asking a stimulus of around 30 to 40,000 crore. You had not released a single paisa. And till now, for everything you used to give a comparison of US or Japan or Germany. I was listening, one of the BJP MP was giving few examples of Germany. I just want to tell him that US, England, Japan, UK, they had spent 10 to 17% of GDP. Till now, our spend is 0.7% of GDP. We had reached the number, the people infected number to 68,000, and till 0.7% of GDP is provided, and states were not provided.
No, Professor Vallabh,
single paisa of the support.
Professor Vallabh, I want to ask you, are you
also
trying to say that there is a criminal delay in trying to offer that perfect package? There is too much stress on it being absolutely perfect that it is getting delayed. That too much deliberation.
In a medical language, if a person is suffering from fever and if you are not giving a medicine on time, then you have to give injection. And if you are not giving injection on time, then you have to take him to the ventilator. And if you are not putting ventilator on time, then the patient is going to die. That is basically central government is doing.
What stage are we
states
at?
Were asking,
according to the Congress,
every meeting, state chief ministers
in
were
your
asking
analogy,
about the finance.
Professor Vallabh, in your analogy, what state are we at right now in the economy?
We are in between injection and ventilator.
Okay.
If you are not going to inject, then the economy is going to be ventilator.
Very
and
quickly.
after 15-20 days, Sanket, even if you provide 10% of GDP, the economy is going to die. That's what precisely I want to say.
Okay, Pinaki Mishra, do you agree? Would you agree with what Professor Vallabh is saying, or would you disagree? He seems to suggest that this quest for a perfect package, well thought out, well deliberated package, unfortunately might be too little too late.
Sanket, it appears, that the Prime Minister is obviously advised very well by the finest minds. I have no doubt. I mean, being the position that he is, I'm sure he's seeking the finest minds. And he's obviously being advised to keep his powder dry because he feels that this perhaps might worsen, and there will come a time when you will need to open the coffers in a very large measure. So we are precariously positioned as far as financials are concerned. We have all asked for, breaching the fiscal barrier. We've all said, please go right ahead and do what you have to do in a warlike situation. But he's keeping his powder dry. I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt that he is being well advised by economists who understand the exigencies of the situation. I certainly hope so. But yes, there are many sectors in India which are now crying out for help. The states, of course, which are in the forefront of the battle are there, right there, crying out for funds, because all the states are in a precarious position today in terms of their finances.
Okay.
We are bone dry. So therefore, the Prime Minister will need to very seriously address this with the finest minds that he has at his command. I have no doubt. I don't want to say too much more.
Yeah,
because,
I know. Pinaki Mishra and Professor Gaurav Vallabh are saying the same things in different words. That much I could figure. Professor Vallabh, very quickly. Very quickly, Professor Vallabh. Last word.
Sanket, just one example. Today, I was reading in newspapers that textile minister is telling to the textile fraternity and MSMEs that please don't come for the package. अरे आपके पास नहीं जाएंगे तो किसके पास जाएंगे? If a person, a MSME unit or a company in textile, or for example, I am having a textile unit in Odisha. If I had some problem, I have to go for a package with my minister.
Here's the thing. I've run out of time in this discussion, but hopefully sources suggest that the Prime Minister may address the nation on the 17th. We don't know just yet, but if he does, let us hope that that perfect package, which is in the offing for a very long time, does get delivered, and definitely states get some economic respite that they so need. Thank you so much, Pinaki Mishra, as well as Professor Gaurav Vallabh.